Good evening, everyone, and welcome to season 13 of the Skip Barber Monday Night Lights, the Australian New Zealand Club Strength of Field race. This season, for the first time, brought to you live and exclusively on the Top Split YouTube channel. Welcoming once again tonight to the broadcast booth is myself, Alex McKellar, and welcoming for this new season, Mr. Tim Gorgorcher. Tim, big season ahead, mate.
Yeah, Alex, thanks for having me back after our first season of Monday Night Lights together. It was 12 great weeks of racing last season, and looking forward to doing it all again. Lime Rock this week, plenty of action coming up, and a killer field assembled tonight for a bit of racing.
Yeah, Okayama, of course, provides some tight racing here, even tighter this week because we're at the club layout, just the seven corners here tonight. But monster field, as you mentioned. We're at the, what do we say, 35, just under 3,550, putting us a great way to kick off the season at number one strength of field for the week, mate. Really excited to see what the guys can put on show tonight.
Yeah, stacks of points on offer, and it's the guy or girl who wins tonight's going to come home with the points lead, which is a nice way to kick off the season. Hopefully that goes to an Aussie, but good turnout of international drivers tonight too. A handful who competed through last season, and obviously a good number of Aussies who are right up there too. Luke Whitten's back, missed out on most of last season. Keen to see how he goes, and Ian Bevan, who's $2,000 or $3,000 set of pedals, finally showed up through customs in New Zealand. He's here too, and ready to, I think, show a clean pair of heels.
Yeah, potentially right. And, of course, having quite a long hiatus and joining us back here once again for Monday Night Lights. Fantastic also to see Bill Fraser, who, of course, took out his inaugural season last season, winning almost anything thrown at his way. In fact, I can't remember him not winning a race that he showed up for, and he did a fantastic job taking out the young fella. It was great to talk to him in the broadcast booth after the final race last season. So great to see him back, and of course Ben Snell, young and up and coming ANZ club member, he's back for another tilt. And as you say, Luke Whitten, who, as you and I both understand, I believe he's now running the virtual reality headset. So it'll be interesting to see how. Well, we know how good Luke is prior to VR. I can only assume it's going to make him better. But the question is, has he adjusted, and what sort of performance can he put on tonight, Tim?
Yeah, tough to say. I know he's spent plenty of time in the sim over the past week or two, but I gather he's only had the unit for a handful of weeks, and the change is significant. But let's hope he's overcome the sickness, because he has 25 laps around this place, and it's a hectic little circuit. Despite the fact there's only 7 turns, he'll be pretty busy at the wheel, and it promotes close racing, so he'll be looking around the cockpit plenty tonight. But I'm sure he'll do well. How's he looking through qualifying, though? I don't know whether he's quite as high as what he'd like.
Yeah, no, let's...
P9, by the look of things.
Yeah, that's it. Why don't we have a quick look at the grid, because quali's wrapped up really quickly. P1 tonight, James Mead from the ANZ Club. Great to see a local boy out in front. David Regini from Iberia in P2. Bill Fraser, returning champion from the UK and I in P3. Jano Marku in P4 there, new name to Monday Night Lights. P5, Ben Snell, great drive from him to get it on in the top 5. Tony Vallejo Caballo in P6. Tim Hendrickson, great to see Tim back from the Netherlands. He's in P7. Darryl Ridley again showing great form, qualifying in P8. Luke Whitten, as we were just talking about him, in P9. Fair way down the order. He should expect to move up, I expect. Ian Bevan, we also mentioned Ian making his return tonight in the top 10. Fran Vinal in P11 from Iberia. Jared Irvine again from ANZ in P12. Russell Clark, Team Milo in P13. P14, Angel Garcia Guiti. John Scholz from Team Venom in P15. Kevin Henderson, stalwart of the club, in P16. P17, Tom Barry. Simon Eriksson in P18. And I might just hide it there because the guys look to be taking the grid, and we'll be getting underway shortly, Tim.
What a way to start the season there is. just under 7/10 between the top 17 cars. And I got a feel for David Regini just off pole. What is it? 5/600ths of a second from James Mead. And James, he's the 15th strongest driver in the field. So certainly not a name I expected to see take out the pole tonight, but a great effort by him. And I'm sure he's excited.
Absolutely. Looks like John Scholz is the last one to take the grid as the lights come on now, folks. We're just waiting for them to get underway. Red light on. Revs are well and truly up to speed now. Green light, and they are away. Looks to be a clean start early on there, Tim. All the guys looking to take their line into turn one here. It's interesting to see some taking the inside, some taking the outside, but most look to be getting through cleanly at this stage, Tim.
Yeah, Ben Snell got up right up under the nose. Might have been Bill Fraser, made a bit of contact, lost his front wing. Not the way Ben wanted to start his season off. And there's a bit of damage in the background. A car on its lid. Who is that? It is Ian Bevan. That is a disappointing start for him. I think he's going to pull up stumps. He's got a lot of damage.
Yeah, just riding on board with Ian as he came into the no-name shortcut section there. Looks like he's nose to tail with, hang on, where is he? Nose to tail with Jared Irvine. Nah, I've missed that. I'm just trying to find him now. Where's he gone? Oh, he's in the pits by then. We might just jump back a little bit. Yeah, he was nose to tail, and then he got rear-ended by the team car.
Looks like Russell Clark.
Russell Clark, yeah, and as you say,
back in the pits too. Unlucky for Russell. Qualified well. P10 for Russell tonight. Disappointing for him. Races all over. He's not going to make his way back from that toe, and obviously no fast repair either. So not a great start for either of those two. Ian in particular, he'll be pretty upset with that.
Yeah, I know Ian gets right into his racing, so yeah, he'll be pretty dirty on that one. I don't know. I was talking to Russell before the race, and he was hoping that he might get a decent run in the Monday Night Lights this season. He hasn't had much luck in the past, and unfortunately, that appears to have continued tonight too.
Yeah, unlucky, very unlucky. But it is James Mead out in front, in control at the moment, half a second lead over David and Bill. Bill's looking pretty aggressive. He's sitting up right behind David in the draft. Thought he might pull a move to the inside. Not the case. And comes right up under the rear wing under braking. As James looks to manage that lead. That little buff route is looking pretty tidy, using all the curb. A little bit of the grass too as well, and he's looking quite racy out there at the moment. Good bit of pace.
Yeah, of course, there's some unfamiliar names to you and I here tonight because this is the Monday Night Lights, of course, runs in the official event for iRacing for the Skip Barber series at 9:15 Australian on a Monday night. But this first week is a free track. It'll be drawing in quite a number of, as I said, unfamiliar faces, but they're certainly showing that they've got what it takes in what might be an unfamiliar series for them. Of course, many paid tracks during the season, we don't see this influx of people. Look at everyone making every bit of use of the track in the background there. But it's great to see an influx of talent, and certainly Bill, as we said, our previous season's champion, really having to work hard for his money tonight, Tim.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't made the move just yet, as he probably runs a tighter line through turn 2 and 3 than David, but he'll be keen to make a move forward. I don't expect that James will run away with it by any stretch. That gap is just out at 0.55 at the moment. But Bill, yeah, he's keen to make the move. He's looking pretty racy out there. Oh yeah, obviously he's got what it takes. It's just at some point, I expect he'll throw it up the inside of turn 1 and get past David and see if he can push forward for P1.
Absolutely. Just jumping on board, another Ben Snell, another local driver here tonight. He, as I say, lost his nose cone. He's tucked in behind Tim Hendrickson, who from the Netherlands, who's looking resplendent in his well-known orange and blue livery tonight. He's car number 1, which, for those who don't know, folks, every car in the field has a number. It's a seeding, essentially, based on the driver's skill rating, also known as their I rating. And the figure that we mentioned before of around 3,550 is essentially the average or the formulaic strength of the field based on all the drivers' skill rating here tonight, folks. So Tim, being the number 1 seed, has the highest skill rating, and certainly in P6 at the moment will be looking to push his way up the order to maintain that level or that seeding, Tim.
Yeah, that's right, because if you don't get a good result, a good result, obviously, the lower down the field you finish in the lower strength of field, it's pretty easy to lose points in P6 let's pretend it was a 2500s off. You might actually go backwards despite finishing in a reasonable position. But just on that, back up at the front, Bill Fraser, last lap round, as I thought might happen, made the move past David and slotted by up the inside. It was only a matter of time. He got a good run off the exit, used all the track, every last little bit was available to him, and he slotted up into P2. But at the moment, it's James Mead. He's really got that gap under control, just stretched it out to a second. He's lapping just over a 1/10.5 quicker than the rest of the field, and he's doing it pretty nicely up front at the moment.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how James goes. I mean, he's got that magic 1 to 1.2 second gap now. We know the sort of pace that Bill Fraser carries, but maybe James is turning out to be a specialist. Maybe this is just his track. And like I said, Bill's really got his work cut out for him tonight. He's leading a long train of cars all the way back down to Ben Snell in P7 that we were just mentioning in battle with Tim Hendrickson. And look, he really does have to work hard now. He's just almost within draft range, but James Mead, the rabbit out in front, really looking to charge away.
Yeah, he is, and last time around just pulled another couple of tenths, and the gap is just a little bit over a second. But it's now that Bill's in clean air, I'm keen to see what sort of a lap he can put together, because obviously trailing close in the skippies, they don't generate a lot of downforce, but in general you'll find that you do a lot better in clean air. So Bill, I'm sure he's going to find another couple of tenths and hopefully work back up onto the rear wing of James. But at this stage, James is looking pretty comfortable. No mistakes, driving nice, not using too much track, and he's got things under control at the moment.
Yeah, interesting to see David Regini. I was watching him both down this front straight that they're coming up as they go through the final corner now, and in the back section of the track. He's just pulling out to the inside of the track, out of the draft. The reason being, this track is notorious for blown engines, and guys that follow in close draft here, right nose to tail here, they can experience extremely high oil temperatures, and I was watching the race before, Tim. I saw no fewer than 2 engines blown just through that fact. So David Regini already in P3 thinking about the long-term elements of the race and managing his engine temperatures, and we can see how he goes with that. And speaking of engine temperatures, I'm jumping back to Kevin Henderson, who's sitting on the front of a 3-car pack in 10, 11, 12, with John Scholz from Team Benham Racing just behind him, and Angel Garcia Guti in P12. These three having a raging hot battle. I mentioned Kevin in the same breath as engine temperatures. I used to run with the Monday Night Lights, the Egg and Bacon Award, the Kevin Hendo's Egg and Bacon Award, because he always was renowned for blowing an engine, and his engines were hot enough to cook your breakfast on. So interesting to see. He's on the front of a pack here tonight, so hopefully engine temperatures won't be a problem for him tonight, Tim.
Yeah, curious to know, mate, where they I didn't understand the saying, I do now, but I wondered whether he scrambled the eggs, scrambled the heads, or fried them on those little skippy engines. But Hendo running a colour scheme this season as well, looking pretty bright and yellow, with a couple of sponsors on board. But good on him, great to see him back, of course, for I'm not sure how many seasons he's done, but he a bit of a legend in this game. He's been around for a long time, and good on him. He's doing pretty well. P10 at the moment, and a good little battle with John, Angel, and Simon Eriksson, not too far behind.
That's right. Speaking of battles, Fran Vital and Luke Whitten in a deathly just tight struggle here. I was watching them in the background while we were talking about Kevin and his group, and their positions changed twice while we were talking. And Luke running very wide out of the final corner as they head down the main straight now. And you see what Fran does on this run down into turn 1. Again, he's outside of the draft, looking after his engine temperatures, and coming into turn 1, just tucks him at Luke. The rear of the car, is he gone? I think he might. Yeah, he's nice and wide, but he's held on to it. Didn't actually lose more than just his position by the looks, and managing to continue on from there with that battle with Fran Vital.
Disappointing for Luke. I was talking to him through the week, and he said that the VR requires a lot more concentration late in the race compared to the traditional 1 or 3 monitors that most iRacers use. So perhaps there's a bit of that coming into play. But we're only 10 laps in, 25 lap race. I'm a little bit surprised to see these errors from Luke, but perhaps he's using plenty of track. Maybe he just wants to leave his mark on every corner or every bit of grass out there at the moment. He's sideways again, not the fast way to get a skip Barber around Okayama.
No, that's right. He's still within just over half a second of Fran Vitale in front of him, and about 1.2 seconds clear of Kevin Henderson, although that gap's slowing down, reducing a bit, and you want to be careful because you'll have that pack of 3 on his tail before he can blink. Jumping back up to the front now, we see Bill Fraser sitting in P2 with David Regini still managing his temps behind, but once again we see James Mead, car number 15 as you mentioned. He's got an I rating of around 3100 prior to coming into this race, and he's leading him from the front. He's now out to 1.5 seconds. I don't know if Bill's had a healthy off-season, a bit of a relax and a kick back, resting on his laurels from last season. But I tell you what, James Mead, the local boy, he's really sticking it to him, Tim.
Yeah, he is. And just looking as well, you're right, 3,500, and he's done, 3,500 iRating. He's done plenty of races this week at Okayama, and he's looking pretty good and comfortable out in front consistently, 1/10 faster than Bill. 58.31 to a 58.41 last lap, and just stretches that gap out to 1.7 seconds. And not often that someone runs away from Bill. I won't say easily, but with this, this sort of consistency, just that 1/10 every lap. Not sure where he's quicker at this stage, but he's doing really nice out in front, and good on him. And a nice way to kick off the season. A controlled drive out in front and looking pretty good.
Absolutely, he is. I tell you what, David Regini down here in third position might be managing his engine temperatures, but he might also be managing to lose the draft here as Bill really getting a wriggle on, as we've just got the balance of 13 laps remaining as they come through the final corner at the end of lap 12. And again, he pulls out of that draft, but I tell you what, he won't want to pull out too far because he's verging on the 1 second gap that Bill needs to get away to him.
Yeah, surprising to see him do that. I mean, you can manage the temps. I guess the issue is not changing up through the gears, it's changing back down through the gears. And it's a matter of just changing that split second later and not over revving that little skippy engine. So surprised to see David risk losing draft, but I'm sure he knows what he's doing. He's obviously a very talented driver. He wouldn't be in P3. Speaking of driving, the race for P4, 5, 6 and 7 is on in earnest, with that group having tightened right up.
Yeah.
Jarno Marku leading at the moment, Tony in P5, Tim Hendrickson right behind him, and Ben Snell, who had some wing damage early in the piece, looks to have found his front wing and picked it back up and put it on the car again. Somehow he's sitting in P7 at the moment, again looking for air too. So something about this place, I think, like you were saying earlier, scrambled eggs for sure.
Absolutely, it is a very racy pack here. We know Ben and Tim don't mince words when it comes to getting in a racy pack, and in front of them you've got Tony and Jarno, two names that we haven't seen in this series before on a Monday night, but certainly they're sticking it to some of our regulars as Hendrickson shows the nose up the inside as they head into Redmond now on the tail end of lap 14 now, making their way up to Hobbs. Again, this tied pack of 4 really showing what this category can do and can bring out in terms of the racing here. They're nose to tail, not much side by side yet, but the lap in this car is over so quickly. It's just 7 corners. You've really got the best passing opportunity. You set it up into turn 1, but it can take till you hit about turn 5 or through, even towards Michael Knight, the second to last corner before you can get it done, Tim.
Yeah, no, it is difficult to pass, and that run down the straight, often you don't get the draft you really want, so you're putting a lot of pressure on them through turn 1, 2, 3, and the left-hander of 4. But yeah, challenging little track to get a move done. But these guys racing pretty close right now as Tony runs a little bit wide on the exit of that right-hander turn 3. Looks like Janu's got a poor run, Tony's going to slot on past Tim Hendrickson. He's going to pop his nose up there too. What's going to happen? Ben Snell checked up. Hendrickson has to check up as well to not make contact with Jarno, who looks like he's going to only lose one position through that little exchange, which is fortunate for him. He got a terrible run out of turn 4. But right now it's Tony licking his lips as he takes P4 on the track.
Yeah, absolutely he is. And you can see what I mean about how hard it is to get the pass done. I mean, you'd think Hendrickson was all odds to get past Jarno there, but given the mistake that he made, Jarno did really well not to hit the wall there as Hendrickson looked up the inside of turn 1. The gap was left open for him by the 13 car in Jarno, and Hendrickson now looking up into turn 2-3, this no-name corner on this club layout now, and forces his way past. Very nice driving from both parties there as they head now through Piper out the back section of the track now. Will Jarno having a look up the inside now as they head into Redmond? No, the order seems to have settled down once again, and these guys putting on a great show, Tim.
Yeah, they are. I think Hendrickson did run too wide, but Jarno perhaps not giving him quite enough room through the 2-3 right-hander complex. What do we call that? That's the shortcut, I think, at Okayama. But I think Jarno might have picked up a tiny bit of damage front-end contact with the back left of Tim's car. It'll be interesting to see over the coming laps whether his speed's compromised at all, which, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it is, and I think he'll find it difficult to make his way back past Tim, who is certainly going to be keen to make amends with picking up one position last lap and work hard to gain a bit of time on Tony and see if he can do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just jumping back to that ongoing battle between Fran Vanal and Luke Whitten. Now Luke showing the nose up through the shortcut there and tightening right up on the back of Fran now as they head through Piper on the way up to Redmond on the tail end of lap 17. Gee, these laps can't go by really quickly here. It's a very short layout. 25 laps here, just shy of 50 kilometres here, which is about your average Skippy race. And these guys really having to earn their money tonight.
Yeah, they are. Interestingly, James Mead cranked that lead out to 2.5 seconds, and we spoke about David and whether he's risking losing the draft, but he's put together some good laps. 58.4 last time by against Bill Fraser's 58.7, and that gap now is around about half a second. So David right back in contention with Bill, and I wouldn't be surprised if the coming laps allow him to put some pressure on Bill and push forward for P2.
Yeah, what's your strategy on there, Tim? I mean, for me, I've tried both these strategies. You see David now, Regini pulling out once again. I mean, do you ride up close and lift early to sort of reduce the strain on the engine, or do you pull out in the draft and risk losing it, but manage your engine temps and then just put in a couple of hard ones to get back in touch? I mean, what's your approach at a track like this, Tim?
To be honest, the engine popping isn't something I'm concerned with, but it's driving style related, you know, and the harder you are on it, the greater the risk you run as David runs wide again to avoid drafting to cool things down. But I'd be all for putting pressure on Bill and see if I could force him into a mistake and not so concerned about the engine. But everyone's different, you know. Obviously, we spoke about Henderson earlier, is pretty good at blowing up the old Skippy donks, and personally, I haven't done one for a handful of seasons. Yeah, I'd say 3 or 4. Maybe it's been a year, I reckon, since I blew a Skippy engine. So everyone's different, but I'd be putting as much pressure on Bill as I could and running as close as I can and see if you can force the young man into a mistake.
Speaking of forcing into mistakes, Hendrickson poking the nose up the inside. No contact there by the looks as they head through Redmond on the way up to Hobbs now. But unfortunately, he doesn't get the inside run here to the final 2 corners of Hobbs. I beg your pardon, the second and third last corners. They head into Michael Knight now. He's going to have to get it done around the outside, and it looks like he might just get it done, Tim. Fantastic driving there from Hendrickson, really taking the strong lines there, maximising his exit speed out of those corners, even if he was on the outside, Tim.
Yeah, impressive little bit of driving, and obviously Tony didn't want to push too hard and run too wide and risk contact and ruin the race for both of them, but a good effort, and he applied the brakes nicely through that right-hander hairpin at Hobbs' corner and got the run on the outside. Tony's run was compromised and he got the job done, so a great move. And Hendrickson up to P4. They are, looks like they're about 4 seconds off a third though, so with only a handful of laps to go, 5 left to complete tonight, I don't think they're a chance at a spot on the podium, but a good effort. And Tim, having qualified in P7, which is out of sorts for him, he'll be pretty chuffed with P4 on the grid, on the track right now.
Yeah, absolutely, he will. Preserving that I rating that we were talking about before. Given that he's the one play to go, you'd be interested to know he only gets 15 points for this race, or 15 I rating, which he'll certainly have in the back of his mind. And there's a lot of battling going on, as we see Ben Snell again. He's pulled out of the draft once again, looking to preserve his engine. But interesting to see how that plays out in the final stages of the race. If we jump back now to the battle ongoing with Luke Whitten, he's actually dropped back. John Scholz has made a move and got past Kevin Henderson. Luke Whitten now, he's sitting about 1.5 seconds off that battle that he was having with Fran Vanal previously, and now it's a three-way battle between the local boys in Luke Whitten, the naturalised South African, now Australian John Scholz, and Kevin Henderson, fighting it out now for 9, 10 and 11, Tim.
Pretty exciting little pack form there, and surprising. I didn't see Luke's, not so much an error. It hasn't, I guess the group behind, just looking at their times, are lapping quite a bit faster. Luke did make a mistake, 59.2 last time round against the trailing pack who were running high 58. So interestingly though, their best laps are all quite similar. But Luke, I would have thought with his experience at this track in general, and I've raced him plenty of times around here, that he would be on fire. But I think that change to VR is taking a little bit of time to settle into, and not quite the desired result for Luke at this stage. But that'll come with time and practice, and obviously more Monday nights on the simulator. But Luke, yeah, not quite what he would have hoped for at this stage.
No, that's right. I tell you who I'm pleased to see still circulating, that's Darryl Ridley. I've often said Darryl's got some fantastic pace, and if he's had any luck though, it's been bad. So he's now fighting for P12 and 13 with Angel Garcia Guti, and of course we run a side competition. We call them Monday Night Lights, the championship points separate to the official championship, and we score the top 3 splits, the top 12 positions all get points, and Darryl now fighting for the last position worth points in the Monday Night Lights Championship with Angel from Iberia. It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Jumping back up to the front, it looks like David Regini's made a mistake somewhere along the way. In fact, I just heard a big one. I don't know if that was contact or if that was an engine go. I'm just trying to see who's dropping down the order. It's Fran Vanal. Let's see what happened there. I'm wondering if it was an engine. Let's see what we can find. No, that's not early enough. Here he comes. Down into turn 1. Yep. The Okayama curse has bitten, and Fran Vanal, who was, what was he in? He was in P, he was ahead of Luke Whitten at the time, and he's got the dreaded curse of that we've been talking about in the Okayama blown engine, Tim.
Here I am telling everyone, don't worry about it, it doesn't happen. And then bam, there we go, and an unfortunate ending for Fran, and he was on for a small haul of points, but tonight's race is going to cost him a fair bit now, unfortunately. A disappointing end for him. He was racing pretty closely with Luke and John, and Hendo, of course, as well. So one of those things. I'm sure he'll be back next week to fight it out again, though.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another one dropping down the order here. Let me just see if we can't jump back and see what happened to Jano Marco here. No, it's already happened there. Let's see what happens. Coming into the first corner, Ben Snell tries. Oh, he covered Ben very, very late there. I'd suggest he'd probably think twice before he did that again. Ben made the move, pulled to the inside, and I don't know if Jano saw him or was looking to make his own move, but he's ended up being turned at turn 1, Tim.
Yeah, unlucky for him too, and a good haul of points has gone begging. Looks like 4, 5, 6 cars have got past, and Jano's going to find himself pretty well at the back of the field, P15. So disappointing end tonight, and it's going to be difficult for him to make up any positions. But what are we now? Lap 24, 1 to go. James Mead in absolute control, a 3-second gap over Bill Fraser, and I tell you, Alex, this is not how I expect tonight to play out.
No, absolutely not. I'm with you, mate. But I did expect to see Bill Fraser up near the front, but I expected him to be right at the front. James Mead putting on a commanding display. He's coming around Michael Knight now into the final corner now, trailing the trailing Russell Clark just in front of him there as we pull in nice and tight now on James as we see him take out his maiden Monday Night Lights victory. Pulls over to the left-hand side and take Russell blowing his engine. I don't know if that was celebration or not. Bill Fraser, he's finished in second. Coming across the line, David Regini and Tim Hendrickson leading out that battle pack there to take out fourth. And Ben Snell finishing in sixth. Luke Whitten coming across as we hear some celebratory engines go. A few more. The boys liking to let go. The mechanics won't be happy with that in the background, Tim. But quite a look. I'd say it was almost processional at times, but I'd say very strategic moves made more than frequent ones tonight, Tim.
Yeah, and it was pleasing to see like Tim Hendrickson getting around the outside at Hobbs, doing a really nice job, and you know, that all happening cleanly, and those two not compromising. Sorry, Tim and Tony not compromising their race. And Luke, I got to say, I think he'll be pretty happy with P7 after qualifying in ninth. Those couple of issues at the end that Ben obviously had with Jarno and Fran when he popped the engine on the front straight allowed Luke and obviously everyone else to bump up a couple of positions. And I think he'll be pleased with seventh in the end. So a good result for a number of drivers who early in the piece were looking at you know, a bit of an average finish.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. A few of the guys now pulling into the pits at the end of their cool-down laps. Look, as far as Luke goes, I expect to see him further up the pointy end as the season progresses and he finds his way with the new setup. We do expect big things from him. Of course, he's taken out a round of the 2K Cup and his time, which is the premier event for the skip barbers in the world, and certainly representing Australia and New Zealand club very well there. But tonight, folks, let's take a look at our results from top to tail. Round 1 of the Monday Night Lights for season 13 at Okayama this week. We had James Mead taking the world by storm tonight, and us by surprise certainly in P1, but certainly great to see a local boy up the front. Bill Fraser, returning champion in P2, followed by David Regini from Iberia in P3. Tim Hendrickson with a really strong performance there, finishing in P4. P5 taken out by a newcomer, Tony Vallejo Caballo from Iberia. Ben Snell had that late incident towards the end of the race, but like I said, if stewards have a look at that, it could have been a 50-50 bet depending on which way you saw it. In P6. P7, Luke Whitten. Great to see him back in the Monday Night Lights. P8 was John Scholz. He was a strong performer last season. Great to see him back up in the top split and doing well in P8. P9, Kevin Henderson. You mentioned him before, mate. I can tell you he is our most capped Monday Night Lights driver. He's been at nearly every one of these things and barely ever missed one. P10 tonight was Angel Garcia Guti from Iberia. Moving on to the second page now. Darryl Ridley did end up in the points. In fact, he ended up strongly in the points, probably because of a couple of late race incidents, I should say, in P11. Great to see him finish in the top 12 tonight. Tom Barry coming back for another season from the UK and I in P12. Simon Eriksson, another ANZ local in P13. Jared Irvine, likewise in P14. Jarno Markku, a new name from Finland for the series in P15. Ian Bevan, very disappointing for him. That lap 1 incident, no doubt, causing a bit of steam to come out of the years tonight, finishing well down the order. Fran Vinal with that blown engine, as we saw in P17, managed to limp around there. And then Russell Clark also caught up with that early incident with Ian Bevan in the shortcut section of this club layout of Okayama. He's finished, unfortunately, tonight, continuing with his run of bad luck in this series all the way down in P18. But great to see everyone hung around and stuck it out, Tim.
Yeah, it was, and obviously a bit of excitement at the on the first lap, but those guys didn't pull the pin, and Ian even picked up a position. But unlucky for those lot, and I'm sure they'll be back next week to try and make amends for what could have been. But James Mead, how's that form tonight? Pole comfortably, fastest lap of the race of 58.19, and then pulled out all the stops during the race with a 3.1 second win over Bill Fraser. That And for me, that's a bit of a clinic put on tonight by James. A great effort. And that's the way you want to start off your season. Good result like that. He'd be chuffed.
Yeah, look, fantastic result. We're interested to see how many of these folks turn up next week as we get into the different elements of the track cycle for this season. But yeah, look, great start to the season. Very pleased with how the race went on, and looks like we might have one of our racers in the green room, Mr. Ben Snell. I might bring him up and see what he's got to say, mate. Why don't I hand over to you and you have a chat with him early on?
Oh, just chuck me in the deep end, mate. No worries.
Here you go. Here he is.
Hey, Ben. Welcome. A reasonable night of racing for you, mate. Qualified pretty comfortably in P5. A good result there. But a bit of contact on lap 1. Did that affect you for the rest of the race?
It just threw me off rhythm. But I feel like I gave you guys enough entertainment for the night, though.
Yeah, look, there was a nice little group. Maybe running P4 through to P7 or 8 that you're involved with. And, hanging around the back of that pack, it's difficult to make a move here, isn't it? Like, unless you get a great run and the car in front, makes a slight error, has their run compromised, it is actually quite difficult to pass. And I think a couple of positions came your way through late race contact and a blown engine even. But overall, P6 is a good result for you. I trust you're pretty happy with that.
Oh, yeah, definitely can't complain. I was just hanging back watching all temps, basically, trying not to pop my own motor.
And talk us through, I think there was late race contact between yourself and Jano. And from our position, obviously we're not in the driver's seat, but it looked like you went to dive down the inside and he went to protect the line quite late. Did you find that surprised you? Or, did you might have braked a tiny bit later than normal to get the move done? Or, talk us through that.
I was really surprised because I was just throwing a dummy and I braked earlier than normal, but that was definitely interesting when he jumped in front of me and slammed on the picks.
Hopefully no hard feelings and we'll see you both back here next week. But I guess a little bit unfortunate for Jano. He spun and ended up losing a number of positions. Didn't lose a lap or anything. Wasn't too damaged, but basically the whole field got by him as he was stuck on the inside of turn 1 against the wall. So unlucky for him, but all in all, made a good night. And any sponsors you want to thank at the moment?
Oh, I don't have sponsors. I don't know what this is all about. I'd like to thank you guys for taking over the hosting, doing it well, and thanks to Team Potato.
Sorry, so talk us through Team Potato. Who are they?
Team Potato is just a group of guys that are all just guys that race on iRacing that don't really talk to anybody else. Oh, not that. We're just, those guys that are around that you don't quite know who they are, but, we cause destruction in high-level races.
Sounds like fun, I think.
We took out like 3 of the league. No, we're all over the world. But our car was the one that took out like some of the leaders in the Daytona 24 and stuff like that.
Fantastic. Yeah, that is something to really be proud of.
yeah, it's our shining achievement.
Absolutely. Look, all right, mate. Thank you very much. Appreciate you stopping by the green room tonight. And what's next week? I think it's Mossport.
Yeah.
How do you feel? You raced there last. We had one round there last season, actually, mid-season, I think it was. How do you feel about that?
I got muscled around because I was a little bit timid.
Hustled out.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And then last night we did it in super skips, and I was a pirouette for most of the night.
So a little bit of time on track this week, hopefully, to polish your skills before probably 10 or 15 laps there next Monday night. But it should be a good one. Hopefully a great turnout again. I know it's a popular track. We had a good turnout last year too. And if tonight's anything to go by, we'll hopefully get the top split of the week again. And a good number of international drivers joining us, so you can show off your skills.
Yeah, I'll try and wreck less people next week.
All right, mate. Thanks very much. Appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks, guys.
There you have it. Thanks, Tim. Thanks to Ben for popping by. Great to see a local guy get the good result. It was fairly action-packed as well at different times. I managed to jump back and grab that replay again. I'd have to have a look at it a bit closer, but yeah, in Ben's words, he felt he was on the brakes early anyway. He wasn't looking to make a move, so yeah, I suggest both of them caught out a little bit there. So no malice or intent there to cause mischief. Although you should know more about the tea potato stuff, but perhaps something for another night. Another night.
Yeah, mate. I think we'll save that for the next time he's in the green room.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? And or I don't know, maybe a bit of a counselling session afterwards. I don't know. So there you have it, folks. That's our first ever event for the Monday Night Lights here in the Top Split channel here. Just wanted to give a big shout out to Bernie Weemers and Double RTV. Their support for this series over many seasons has been remarkable. Built this series largely on Double RTV's back, the passion of the both Bernie but of the community as well, to make this series what it is. But you obviously you've noticed that we're hosting the series this time to continue on and hopefully continue that legacy. Bernie's got some things in the pipeline that he'll be announcing later this week, if I'm not mistaken, but looking to move in some different directions. So it's with great pleasure that we host it here at the Top Split, but also really want to acknowledge the great work that Bernie and Double RTV have done over the longest time, both in terms of the Monday Night Lights, but Australian sim racing in general. He's a fantastic, quiet achiever, as it were, puts in tireless amounts of effort and support for the community. They really do add a lot. The broadcasts really do add a lot to any given season, and we certainly do. Shout out to him and appreciate his efforts. Now, Tim, you and I here in the box tonight, you got much planned for this week coming ahead?
Yeah, look, I don't mind my sport, so I'll be out and about. Hopefully get a couple of official races in. Missed out on the Super Skips last night, disappointingly, but my sport's a good fun track and plenty of excitement, activity, and it's a surprisingly fast track with a good number of flowing curves. So look forward to getting out there. And mate, otherwise a quiet week in the sim, I think. Not too much time. 3 or 4 races that would see me done, I think.
Beautiful, yes, and I'll be out on track too. Hope to get a few races in Mosport, and then of course Friday night race club on Friday and the Bathurst 200 on Saturday, I beg your pardon. All of which you can catch at the Top Split Twitch channel, Top Split TV over there. But of course, for all the latest news and views of the Monday Night Lights, head over to thetopsplit.com. Which will have the latest news, as I said, plus all the previous catalogue of series races. If you ever want to check out those, they're all hosted at thetopsplit.com as well. And those of you interested in the scoring, don't worry, it'll be up soon. I'll post it up on the forums as well. But for our first effort, on behalf of Tim Gorcroch, I've been your host, Alex McKellar, and I will say ciao for now.